Man United podcast with Bids and Monty.
Bueno, mi gente, llegó la parte 2, a donde Ant habla sobre su pasado, cómo cambió su vida, el positivismo, la buena energía, la fe y cómo encontró a Dios. Aquí les paso a mi amigo Dan Biddulph, que les va a translate.
Monty's just said, welcome to the Man United podcast. In this episode of part 2, there is a lot of positivity and the turnaround in our guest life. Something
Wow,
around
you actually got that spot on as well.
Did I?
Yeah.
Oh, let's go! Yeah.
You got that spot on, mate.
That's pretty good, mate. It's not bad.
Wow.
Love
You actually
that.
done well. You got it spot on.
Yeah, I was
That's
processing.
That's basically what I said. And also for those listening, or viewers, wherever it may be, whatever you're going through, take this story in, because he went from being down here, depending his happiness on external things. I know we've said it before.
Yeah.
And he was searching for that jackpot. But
yeah.
wait till you watch second part and you will see he actually hit a jackpot in something else, and it's the biggest thing.
Yes, my friends. And another big shout out to the Man-Made Beard Company. Absolutely love you. I love you. My beard's beautiful.
Beautiful.
Don't forget, viewers and listeners, subscribe, like, comment, and share.
Spread the love.
Spread the love. Enjoy part 2.
And I think in part 1, obviously, we spoke about your journey, what you've done, your first child, the amount of times you've been to prison, addiction. But I want to know, Biz wants to know, and I'm sure the listeners and the viewers want to know, at what stage was it that you decided to sort of change your life around? And what made you realize?
Yeah. So in 2011 it was, I'd come out of prison and I met the mother to my second child, who's now 8 years old. We met. It was kind of a flash in the pan relationship. Whipped her off her feet. Took her down to Torquay for 10 nights in a top hotel and stuff like that. Yeah, it was when Stoke were in the FA Cup final, actually. So right. What I said to her was, we can either go and get tickets and just live it large. And watch Stoke at Wembley in the FA Cup. I'd got all kinds of different ideas. Or we can go down to the South Coast for 10 days, watch it on the TV and just stay in a swanky hotel and do that. And she chose the latter. So we did that. She got pregnant on our trip to Torquay, it would transpire. But after coming back from that trip to Torquay, I got caught with quite a large amount of cocaine. So I got caught with 9 ounces of cocaine in the boot of a car.
Wow.
Which was part of an operation, a larger operation that I'd blindly walked into. So I came into a conspiracy of 14 people with other people in the city. There was like a parallel case going on in Liverpool for the guys that were involved in Liverpool and stuff like that. And I just got caught up in this. These weren't people that I usually made the habit of dealing with, but the proposal was too good to turn down. So I just went for it. So I've got roped into this. That relationship broke down. Because again, I went into self-destruct. I've got a lengthy, as far as I was concerned, I've got a lengthy prison sentence coming. Yeah. So I just need to make as much money as I can, do what I can, set myself up, go to prison. I'm expecting like 5 to 7 years I thought I was looking at, and that was it. So I just went back on the grind. What happened was people didn't want to deal with me because they thought I was too hot, as they used to say back in the day. No, you're too hot. You know, the police are all over you. You've become too high profile. You've got this case hanging over you. And it was like I was just pushed aside. So it was hard to try and hustle. Yeah. It was hard to try and make it happen in that time. So I got made friends with a guy who's died now. He had his own tattoo shop in Fenton. And I used to go and just chill down there, and he used to smoke some weed, and I'd smoke weed. He was about 10 years older than me. And I'd just go down there, and I got into a very reflective kind of part of my life. I started to reflect on stuff and think kind of in a way that I'd never been thinking before. And I'm still partying at the weekends. I'm still, don't get me wrong, I'm still trying to, you know, live in that kind of life. But I kind of felt like I was growing up, even though I was still selling drugs and still going out and sleeping with women and sniffing coke at the weekends and fighting and all that. There was this sense, like, inwardly, that I was growing up. And what happened is, I don't know where it came from, but I started to consider the reality of God. So I started to think, you know, what was my life all about? First of all, like, what is my life all about was one of the first questions I started asking myself. So really, I was searching for purpose. Yeah. And then I started to ask, you know, just the fundamental questions of life. Where have I come from? Do you know what I mean? Is there a meaning to my existence? What's going to happen to me when I die? What happens when I die? Is it just a ceasing of existence and a nothingness? Or is there something else after this life? And I started to ask myself those kinds of questions. Didn't really forward them in any kind of way. Do you know what I mean? But they were going round in my head. And I met this guy called Simon Edwards.
Oh, we know him.
Yeah.
Actually, we know him.
Yeah, he's formidable in the city. Yeah, so I met this guy called Simon Edwards, and at the time he was a Cat D prisoner, so he was getting out of prison for day releases and stuff. And making a long story short, I started going to the church that he was a part of, and he's, you know, I recognized him as being, he's like 5 years older than me, so he's the next generation up. I recognized him as being a bit of a geezer, a bit of a lad, heard his stories, knew some of the same people that he'd grown up around in the Mere. So I had a kind of this little bit of respect for him, could tell he wasn't your average, you know, coffee drinking, corduroy jean wearing Christian, you know. So it was like, okay, and just kind of explored Christianity really, but knew as well that I'd got this prison sentence waiting. Yeah. So it was kind of like, well, at first it was just kind of like, well, I'm just messing around with it because it doesn't really matter what I do in this point in my life. I've got to go back to prison for this drug charge that is coming. So that's when, like, you know, I think my life started to just take a bit of a U-turn.
Yeah, say with Simon Edwards, if you've listened to the later episodes, we had the Man United founder Craig Spillane on, and he mentioned Simon Edwards, and then we had Simon Edwards on the podcast, and this guy just keeps creeping up everywhere. He's got some kind of magic powers within him because it just keeps appearing. Insane.
Yeah, he's very, very unique. Simon is. He's got a very unique skill set, and one day he'll be recognised for that. So at the minute, he's kind of a background guy doing hidden work with hidden people in hidden places.
Amazing work as well.
Amazing work, but whether it's going to be a year, 10 years, 20 years, there will be some kind of, you know, I can see him OBE, MBE, or something like that. Because the work he's doing and what he's pioneering in this city that's never been done before. I know it's being done in bigger cities, but what he's pioneering in this city is it's amazing.
Yeah, say the stuff I'm seeing on his socials and that is just mind blowing. So obviously he's a construction company, right? So they do up like old houses and turn them into places for the homeless to go. And
that's right.
Prisoners come out of prison and like go there, and obviously people with addictions, they help them as well. Absolutely amazing. And the guy deserves I don't know, he deserves
legend,
outstanding, man. So with Simon Edwards and you went to the church and stuff, were you fully in to God at that stage, or was it just kind of on like the fringes?
I wasn't at first, but it wasn't long before I had my own personal encounter with God. So after a few weeks of, like you say, being on the fringes, I kind of had my own what can only be described as like my own personal encounter with God, where everything just changed. I mean, it's hard to explain because it's personal. Does that make sense? It was like the best way I can explain it was Simon was encouraging me to pray, and he was encouraging me like to pray and ask for Jesus to be revealed to me. So, I got this kind of God, but God's kind of a broad spectrum, isn't it? When you say God, which one are you talking about? Who you talking about? So Simon made it more specific, and he kind of said, what you need to do is pray and just ask Jesus to reveal himself to you. So I did that. I just followed the instruction, and on my own, with nobody else, I kind of prayed that kind of prayer, like, Jesus, if you're real, then would you reveal yourself to me like other people are saying you've done for them? And that's what happened. Not immediately after I'd prayed. I kind of felt quite silly after I'd prayed because nothing happened. I don't know what I was expecting. I don't know if I was expecting like angels to be river dancing on my bed or something like that to get me. But nothing happened. So I kind of felt quite silly. But the next day, the only way that I can explain it is, when I went outside, it was like I'd stepped out of a black and white world and stepped into colour. The whole world, the sky looked different, the trees looked different, and from me, for a materialistic drug dealer to be looking at flowers in like somebody's back garden and looking at the magnificence of flowers, I thought to myself, I'm either going insane to get what I mean, or something's happening to me. And then just things after things just kept happening, which, you could call coincidences, but when they happen a dozen times, it's like, this isn't a coincidence. This is a regular occurrence, So that was that vaulted me straight in. I got baptized at the church. I went full on. As a Christian, I was regarding myself and identifying myself as a Christian, and just waiting to go back to serve out this last sentence.
Is there only one way of being baptized? Is that where they dunk you in the water and pull you back out? Is that the only one way?
Without being too theological, baptism is full immersion. It means to be fully immersed in water. So I got baptized the way that we believe as Christians is the way that you do it, which is a full dunk, whole body in the water. And that was it. The church that we were going to had accepted me, which I'd never had before outside of like the circles of the drug world or the circles of the football hooligan world or whatever kind of circles I was dipping in and out of. So I'd never had this kind of, it was weird because these people were very middle class, most of them. So kind of finding it hard to fit in, but feeling this love, feeling this kindness, feeling this acceptance from these people. And just, it was good, man. It's really good.
I think obviously with what you said about the circle and how you was accepted, it was obviously how God works, and I do Bible studies as well, like I think once a week with a couple of the lads, and we talk about it, acceptance, and why would God accept you when you sin so much?
That's right.
And it's just down to the individual to accept it first and have the faith and hope and believe. And if you have that, God would accept you regardless, but it's got to come from within to be able to open your heart to it. You can't
that's right. Yeah.
Keep like yourself in regards of your journey. When you stepped out the door, you saw one thing and you're like, wow. And then you saw another thing. You saw something else. He's not going to come here and be like, here you go, your life has changed. No, he's like teasing you.
Yeah.
Showing himself in different ways.
Yeah. I think it's like, it's like that kind of dangling of a carrot.
Yeah.
You know, just keep coming. And the more we keep going and the closer we get, the more he's revealed. Do you know what I mean? And what happens as a byproduct, the more you step out of the world and its temptations and its kind of, you know, glitz and glamour, because actually, you know, God's revealing himself to me. And, you know, as if you're a real Christian, and I'm sure there might be some listening to this today who'd completely agree, but real Christians, we don't believe in religion. We don't believe in a set of rules and regulations and do that. We believe in a relationship. Of having a real relationship with a real God. And you can only find that first and foremost by actually going and seeking for that. And that's what I did. You know, I didn't realize I was doing it. I thought, as I said, I was playing around with it. But what happened was God was just, like you say, teasing me in, bringing me in little by little, bit by bit, until I had that kind of light bulb moment, eureka moment, if you want. And God just became not just real, he just became my everything.
Yeah. And with finding your beliefs, you then went on to some really amazing stuff. So the work you've done, you've gone to Uganda, Rwanda, you've mentioned Jamaica. So what were you doing in Uganda?
Well, just let me take it back a little bit and try and keep it as short as I can. So I go back to prison, which was a massive move of God. So instead of getting the 5 to 7 years I was expecting, I got 2 years and 3 months. I'm sure the judge that sentenced me was a Christian, because when he called my name to stand up, there was 14 of us in the dock. When he called my name and told me to stand, I stood up and he said to me, I've been reading some very interesting stuff about you, about how you've changed your life. He said, and I'm inclined to believe it. He said, I do believe that you've had a massive life transformation. He said, but unfortunately, because of the severity of your crime, I have no option but to pass a custodial sentence in the courtroom today. He said, but I will pass the minimum amount of sentence that I'm allowed to. So he gave me 2 years and 3 months. So it was like half of what I was expecting, which was to just serve out over a year. The informer, the guy that had informed on us all, he got 3 years. So I got less than the guy who informed on me. So I'm sure, like you say, either the judge was a Christian or God was just working through him that day. And I managed to just go to prison to serve out like what would have been 13 and a half months. So while I was in there, you know, instead of going with drugs and stuff like that, like I'd done on sentences past, I went with my Bible, I went with the gospel, I had a mission to do. I'd been walking alongside Simon. Simon was like, Luke, you know, go in there, you've got a mission field, people need to hear hope, people need to hear love, people need to know about faith, you know, just go in there, you're fully armed. So went in, making differences, speaking to people, met Craig Spillane in there, who I could see was, when I'd met him, was a bit down at the time. So I knew he was a local lad. So I tried to get alongside of him without being too pushy. And he could see there was something different in me, took an interest in coming down to the chapel himself. We developed a friendship. And then towards the end of my sentence, I became quite filled with fear because, like before, I knew what I was doing. I was going to prison after becoming a Christian. But now I'm about to get out. And as far as I was concerned, and as much as I've lived up to today, I was never going back to prison again. So, like, what do I do? because now I've got to become a part of society. Bids, I didn't even have a bank account.
Wow.
Do you know what I mean? I'd never worked a job really, apart from that first job I had when I was 16 and 17. I wasn't on the bleeding radar. Do you know what I mean? I've never done nothing but dodgy activity, black market activity. So it's like, where do I start? So I began to pray at the end of that sentence, like what I was going to do. And I heard from God, and God said, you know, you're going to go back and meet up with Simon Edwards. So I was like, okay. So I remember the next day I gave the chaplain, the lady in the chaplain, a lovely lady named Sarah, I gave her Simon's name, but I haven't seen Simon now for over a year, because it's been a year. We haven't really kept into contact because he'd been doing his own thing, which I was soon to find out. And I'd just been doing my own thing. You know, I've been getting my head down, doing my sentence, telling as much people about Jesus as I could, sharing that hope and that faith and that love that I'd found. And, you know, the sentence, it went from being a punishment to becoming a privilege, to be honest. Because, you know, just there helping people and just being me. So didn't know anything about him, where he was, gave Sarah his name. And I said, look, I need you to contact this guy for me. I've got no number for him. He should be out of prison now. Also know that he'll be in and around the Stoke-on-Trent area. And this is the last church that we were at together. So she said, okay, I haven't got much go off, but I'll try my best. What happened was she went to a meeting at UCB Radio that night. And guess who's speaking there?
No.
Simon Edwards.
No way.
So he gets up, tells his story, and then there's another guy that gets up to kind of give a teaching, a guy named Barry Woodward, a guy from Manchester who's got quite the same story as myself and Simon. So he gets up, and Sarah goes over to approach Barry, because she said, he reminded me of you, Anthony. You know, he was very passionate, very animated, and speaking and stuff like that. So she went over to talk to him, and she was asking Barry if he could become a mentor for me when I got out of prison. So he asked my name, and when she said my name, Simon chirps up, that's my mate. He's my mate. So she asked Simon, well, what's your name? So he said, my name's Simon Edwards. So she reaches her hand in her pocket and pulls out the piece of paper I'd give her that morning. And she's like, you're never going to believe this, boys. So as far as I was concerned, that was God at work in connecting me to where I needed to be. So when I came out of prison, I met up with Simon and kind of pioneered for the first few years with him what is now Walk Ministries. So we lived in a house together for about 6 months up until Simon getting married and me beginning to kind of volunteer for the ministry in some kind of role. But the second thing that I heard from God when I was about to get out of prison in 2013 was that he was going to send me off to Bible college. So I didn't even know what one was, but I thought, well, it's quite self-explanatory. It's a Bible college, right? But I didn't even know such places existed. So what happened was I looked into it, and I saw that the courses were about between £8,000 and £10,000 for a 3-year course. So I thought, well, unless I go back to doing what I used to do, I'm gonna struggle saving that amount of money anytime soon. 2 weeks after being released from prison, I was sat in the director's office of one of the world's biggest Bible colleges, getting offered a free scholarship.
Whoa.
Wow.
Nice.
So again, you know, it was God confirming what he'd spoken to me. You're going to meet up with Simon and you're going to go to Bible college. Because I'd asked him, you know, Lord, what am I going to do when I get out?
Yeah.
Because I'm scared. I've got this internal fear in me about what my life's going to look like. How am I supposed to start again? And the two things that he said I was going to do were 2 weeks after by the time I got out of prison, I'd walked into both of them. So it was just more confirming my faith. So started to do stuff with Walk. So helping people coming out of prison, helping guys, running like Monty's just said there, running little Bible studies in the houses and stuff like that. Because by now I knew a thing or two. And then enrolled in Bible college the following September. And that's when I started to like my horizon got bigger. if you like, because I started to meet more people, connect with more people. But this is what I'd done in the past. I'd only ever done this. I'd only ever been a good connector, a good networker, you know, ducking and diving. Well, now I'm ducking and diving as a Christian. Do you know what I mean? Who are you? What do you know? What can I help you with? What can you help me with? And that's kind of what I was doing. So before long, I was doing mission trips. So the first mission trip that I did was going down to Cardiff, worked with the church in Cardiff for a couple of weeks, working with the homeless, working with unprivileged families and stuff like that. And then in 2016, I met a guy named Jonathan Conrath, who travels around the world every year, preaching the gospel, doing different stuff in different countries. And he took me out to Uganda for the first time in 2016. Nice. Went out there, connected there. The following year, went out to Rwanda with Jonathan, connected with some people there. And then at the end of 2017, went out to Rwanda on my own, or with another guy, just two of us, as opposed to a bigger mission team. And we went into some of the prisons in Rwanda, which was to put it mildly, very hard hitting.
What was it like in prisons? Because I've seen a lot of documentaries about like people going over to different countries and spending so much time in the prisons. And there was one in an African prison, and I can't describe what it looked like. It was just, I don't know, it was like a war zone.
Yeah.
Absolute war zone.
So I went into two prisons over the time that I was there in Rwanda at the end of 2017. The first prison that I went into was a prison called Gitarama. And at the time, at the end of 2017, it was the second worst prison in the world.
Wow.
So, and it was because of not really for its danger, as in like murders and stuff, but because of its overpopulation.
Yeah.
So it was massively overpopulated. So the prisoners were like 80 prisoners to a cell, with about 2 foot of space each way to move. And they're locked in there for most of the hours of the day. The prison couldn't afford to feed the prisoners properly. So the prison guards, when I was over there, told me that every so often men will fight to the death, and then they'll eat the guy who's been killed. So cannibalism was still active in the prison. Wow. Yeah, exactly. So going from my little story about, spending some time in HMP Dovegate, where you've got like a smart TV and a telephone in your cell and, all of these things, to like going into this reality of like flipping it, they have to practice cannibalism on some form to even survive in this prison. So it was, talk about feeling like, out of your depth. But what I realized when I was there is the feelings that I'd experienced as a prisoner were the same. They might have been on different levels, but they were still feeling fear. They were still stressed about what they were going to do when they got out of prison. They were still worrying about their loved ones that they'd had to leave behind and how they were going to fit back into society. Yeah. So there, I realized that was my platform, man, that I could say, Luke, there's hope for you, because if I can do it, and I know I've done it in what we consider to be a first world country, but if I can do it, there's hope for you guys. So that was like my connection with them. So just been doing some of that, been back and forth to Africa a handful of times since then. I'm currently working with a charity in Uganda called King's Kid. So cool. Last year in 2020, we brought over 11 African orphans to the UK, and the director of the charity and a social worker accompanied them. So we did from January the 20th to February the 20th last year, which was amazing because it was just before the COVID stuff hit. Yes. So it was time just right. we did a tour. We did a tour up and down the country, in different places, going into schools so the kids could share their stories and their faith, going into community centres, doing work in the churches. We went over to the Stoke City football ground and the kids performed at Stoke versus Preston.
Nice,
we went down to the Crewe Alexandra Stadium and filled out their Carlsberg suite and did a full concert in there because they brought all their African drums and they were doing all their African tribal dancing and stuff like that. So it was a complete success. So currently what I'm doing with them at the minute is I'm registering that Ugandan charity in the UK so we can start to have a UK branch here. So yeah, that's Summit. Still work with Walk quite loosely, getting around there, guys. For a job nowadays, what I do is I work with an organisation in the city called Concrete. And part of their destination home group. So that's really just sweeping the streets, getting the homeless guys off the streets, getting them into provision, supporting them in that provision. So the role that I've just come into with Concrete is one of being a service coordinator. So I'll work with a caseload of people, it's just coordinating services around them. If they've got mental health issues, if they've got addiction issues, if they've got this, then I'll coordinate the right services around them and just support them with engaging with their appointments, with their struggles in that. And I've got the right kind of story to say, hey, I've experienced all this, I know what you're going through. I know what so work with both men and women in doing that. So completely different life to what I was living 8 years ago.
So it's a complete U-turn, that is, man. That's amazing, bro. Absolutely amazing.
Wow.
And going back, just a quick one on Gitarami. Found something on it.
Okay.
Just to let the listeners and viewers know just how big that prison is. There's 7,000 inmates locked inside an area with a maximum capacity of a jail that's only 600. So about the size of a football pitch, I'd say.
What the?
Yeah. So it's about the size of the football pitch, but you cram 7,000 people on that football pitch. That's fucking mad.
That's insane.
Wow.
Like you say, it's mind-blowing.
Mind-blowing, mate.
It's mind-blowing.
Insane. But honestly, bro, you've inspired me massively.
Me, man.
Thanks,
So the journey you started to where you are now, I'm really hopeful that someone might be listening to this or watching this that have gone through addiction, or maybe they're going through addiction and they don't know they're going through addiction. Maybe it might give them that little click inside the brain and just give them, that inspiration to try and sort themselves out. Because I've never been addicted to drugs, so it's hard for me to talk to someone who's addicted to drugs, because I'll be like, I don't know why you're addicted to drugs.
Yeah.
So for you, for going around the streets and helping these homeless people that they've got to be on drugs, I would imagine.
Yeah, 90% of them,
you can relate to them. Because we spoke on the phone a few days ago about it, didn't we? And on about, like, surely it's a job where it's got to be tough, like mentally tough, because you're working with these homeless people that may be on monkey dust or whatever else is out there nowadays. And some days you might feel like you're getting somewhere with him, but then next day they're just not there with you. So
that's bang on. Yeah.
Honestly, bro, mint. Love it.
Well, I'm glad, yeah. And just to drop in, because again, I don't want to paint this picture of having it all together and being all sorted and, this is the life that you need. Since becoming a Christian and, after going to Bible college and getting a Bible qualification, do you get what I mean? I'm actually qualified in theology. So after doing all that, I got married and I've had a marriage that has broken down. So I'm currently going through through a divorce at the moment. So,
Yeah.
you know, I've still got my struggles. I've still got my things that I'm trying to work out myself, and things that I'm still getting wrong.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's nothing compared to the life that I decided to leave behind 8 years ago.
Yeah, I think with what you just said, life happens, isn't it?
Yeah.
Life is what happens, and by that I mean no matter how good things are going, at one stage you're gonna hit that little bump.
Yeah.
But a good thing you've experienced and you've been through a lot, that you can just adjust and understand that, wow, I'm hitting a bump, but I don't want to go back down there. So this is what I've got to do.
That's right. Yeah, that's completely right.
A lot of the times we tend to just blame. I was saying to one of my friends the other day, because he was going through a hard time, and I said, don't blame what's happening to you. Just see what it's trying to teach you, and just sit back, take it all in, and question yourself. Is this happening because I've got to slow down? Is this happening because it's trying to teach you something? And that's what we fail to see sometimes as humans. We just look for excuses and we look to blame someone else rather than looking within and understanding what is actually happening. Because life happens. The amount of things that would happen in life is just crazy. But it's just having the courage to accept that it's part of life. It's not happening to you, it's happening for you. And it's about understanding that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think that's what we, you know, as Christians, that's what we definitely, you know, you said something there, you know, what can I learn from this? That's a question that I always ask myself. All right, shit's going on and it don't feel good, but what am I learning here? Do you know what I mean? And most of the time it'll just be that I need to be a little bit more patient with situations and circumstances, that I just need to let this play out and learn a bit of humbleness and learn to step back and not try and sort it out myself. So that's a question that I'm always asking myself. If not like, what am I learning while it's going on? Like when it's happened, like, so my marriage broke down, we're going through divorce. So now in hindsight, I look back and say, well, the mess that I made of that, of traveling around the world and not looking after and taking care of my family properly, going away and looking after other people's children more than I was looking after my own children. That's what I'm learning. That's what I've learned from that. It's a crap situation. It's not something I choose, but I can learn from that. I learned that, you know, if that comes around for me again, if I should meet somebody and settle down and go through that marriage thing again, then what I learned from it falling apart one time is that I need to protect and provide for that properly.
Yeah.
Find a balance.
Yeah.
And honestly, bro, I fully respect like what you're doing. And if there's anything we can do to help, just let us know, man. If you need any kind of awareness, or if you need any kind of like help raising funds for something you're doing, let us know, man, and we'll plug it.
That's great. Yeah, that's cool. I think that I'm trying to get Craig, or he's trying to get me when we're not so busy, because I believe that obviously the service that you're doing can fit into not just me personally, but obviously Concrete itself, what we're doing as an organization, because a lot of the guys that we try and support, they've got massive mental health issues. It's not mental health, it's trauma. Do you get what I mean? For the things that have happened to them, the things that they've seen, the things that they've done to themselves and their addiction, they're traumatized. So I know that I keep speaking to him and like, listen, we're going to have to get together and I'll link you up with some of the managers. And he's like, yeah, but then weeks just turn into months and he passes, you know. So, but busy. I think something's imminent anyway.
Yeah, man. Busy guys, helping people. Yeah. That's the only problem when you're helping people. You kind of forget about yourself sometimes.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But bro, what we take from this episode is you split up with your first missus because you couldn't go on a trip to Tenerife and things like that. So now you're going on trips to just spread the word about God, and it's just mad, man, how you've changed your life around. And it's inspiring, and I'm sure the listeners, the viewers could take something from this, that no matter what bumps you hit on the road on your journey, always hang on to faith and hope and believe in yourself.
Definitely, man. Definitely. It's never, you know, if you'd have told me 8 years ago that I'd even be sitting here having this conversation and have this kind of 8 year, I'd have just said you were mad. You're mad. What? What? This is because I thought my life was, you know, being a Dow boy, just ducking and diving, trying to make it happen. And one day, you know, I'll hit a bit of the big time. Like, you know, that was my hope, that I could just keep ducking and diving, making a few grand here, making a few grand there. Do you know what I mean? That'd be nice. And then one day, with a bit of luck and hopefully, I'll hit the big time and I'll come on to a big move that'll set me up. And that's what I thought it was going to be. Whether that was going to happen when I was 40, when I was 50, when I was 55, that was my hope. Do you know what I mean? That's what I saw. That was it. You know, I was never going to work a job. I was never going to fit in society. I was never going to do some of the things like going into prisons or supporting orphanages in Africa, or going across to Jamaica and going into shanty towns there and sharing this portion of my story. I never would have thought that would have been a reality that would have played out. So if I could say anything to encourage people, it's like, you never know what's around the corner. You never know when you're feeling like, you know, that this is my life and it's crap and nothing's ever going to happen and this is what I'm always going to be. Just rid yourself of that thought, because you never know what's around the corner, and just the benefit of connecting, you know, through the Men Unite forum, connecting with other men, speaking to other men. That's what happens, man. That's how doors open. We form relationships with people. Doors start opening, and before you know it, you're standing in places asking yourself, how have I got here? Do you know what I mean? How have I got here? What am I doing standing here talking to these people? This is mad. Like, even this, man. You know, today it's like, so yeah, if I got any encouragement, it'll be, you know, just don't give up. Just keep going.
Never, ever give up. That is the absolute banger. Never give up, Monty.
Never give up, homie. You found the biggest jackpot, though. You found peace and happiness within yourself.
Yes, mate.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Definitely. And I think ultimately that's what we're all searching for, isn't it? That peace. Yeah. That piece of like, you know, thinking we can get that in the material things, in the cars and this and that, you know, because if I get this, then I've made it. Or if I do this, or if I get this thing, I'm better than them. And ultimately what you're searching for is peace. You're just searching for something to make you feel peaceful on the inside. So now, I'd say that I've hit the biggest jackpot. Yeah.
My guy, man.
Well, thanks for coming on, man. Honestly, it's been awesome having you on. It's been great.
Oh, it's been a privilege. Yeah, it's been a privilege.
And
very good, man.
I want to thank everyone that's listening, watching. Oh, it's been good, man. I feel tired now. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Oh, we love you. Don't we, Monty? We love you.
We love you all. Keep watching, keep supporting, keep liking, keep subscribing, keep sharing. One love.
One love.
Definitely.